American drivers on average use nearly 10 million barrels of oil per day. More than half of all of them live less than 5 miles from where they work, but just over 1% use a bike to get there. Barbara Cleforth from the Environmental Protection Agency is one of the few who chooses to ride a bike to work.
And it's really connecting with wherever you are. There's no better way to get to know a city, you know. It's really fun. You get to talk to people and meet people. And if you see something you want to check out, you just stop right away. During rush hour, it can take up to an hour to get here by any of the other methods. Otherwise, or by bikes, 30 minutes, exactly, anytime.
Across major cities, traffic jams cost commuters over $24 billion a year. Bicycles produce no pollution, and 100 bicycles can be produced with the resources and energy required for manufacturing a single car. Bicycling magazine named Washington the most improved bike city in the United States, but for some, Washington still remains a challenge.
I think the city needs to make more bike lanes because unlike some other cities that are year-round biking cities, I find that the traffic in the summer, the people that drive aren't aware of the traffic rules regarding bikers, so they don't really look around for bikers, so it's a little dangerous. But that being said, the bikers don't really know the traffic rules either, so it kind of balances out.
Eric Gilliland, director of Washington's Bike Association, one of the largest in the country, agrees that both bikers and drivers have more to learn, but he adds that the city has come a long way in improving the infrastructure for cyclists.
A lot of the work that we've done has been on the engineering side of bicycling, which is trying to get new trails built, making sure that bike lanes are being striped, that there's ample bike parking available throughout the region. We've also worked with our local transit agency on bike access to Metro Rail and Metro Bus, and that was a big victory that we had just a few years ago. Was all the buses in DC now, in the Washington region, can accept 2 bikes. We'd also like to look into expanding the hours of access on Metro Rail for bikes. Right now there are certain times when you're not allowed on. We'd like to see that expanded. We're seeing exponential growth in the number of bike lanes that we're seeing, and so we're happy with that. Unfortunately, the pace has been much too slow for our taste. We consider this to be the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff to do. It's just paint on the pavement. It's not rocket science.
The Department of Transportation is already behind schedule this year. Bike and pedestrian manager Jim Sebastian says more patience is needed.
Well, everything takes long. Construction projects take a long time. And when we do resurfacing of roads, then we put it in at the same time. We only resurface so many streets per year, but that's a really cheap and effective way to get it done. But we're also going into streets that aren't being resurfaced, and we're putting down lanes. So, we've been doing about 5 miles a year for the last 6 years. So we think that's pretty impressive. It's more than any other jurisdiction in the Washington area. Bike lanes and safety are just a part of the solution. Educate both groups and pedestrians, show them that everyone's got to share the road. Bicyclists have a right to the road, just like motor vehicles, and the drivers need to know that. And the bicyclists, by the same token, need to obey the rules as well if they want to be taken seriously. Washington, D.C. will become the first American city to install Smart Bike, a public bike rental system found in many cities across Europe. A year's membership costs $40. Riders unlock the bikes by scanning their access cards and can drop it at another station within the 3-hour time limit. But is Washington's infrastructure ready for such a project?
It has a really good chance, but we are a little bit concerned about, like I said, the lack of infrastructure that connects the smart bike locations together. More driver education, PSA campaigns, things like that will really help it really succeed. I think the smart bikes will help give us more impetus to do even more bike lanes and more trails and more parking. So it's the bike program and the smart bike, they feed off each other.
Many cyclists like the fitness, fun, and efficiency of biking. In the summer of 2008, participants of the annual World Naked Bike Ride made their way to the capital to demonstrate that biking can help ease the country's demand for oil.
I love my bike, and a city like Washington, D.C. especially, not enough people are comfortable enough about being on bikes, and it's a real shame because
World Naked Bike Ride!
This is definitely a biking city. Some of the larger metropolises in the country, I understand their dependency on oil and cars, but DC, no, we have no excuse. It's great. It's fun. It gets you outside.
The number of people who bike to a metro stop has increased more than 50% in the last 5 years. In the past, bicycles helped ease a pollution problem that no longer exists. City streets clogged with horse droppings. Today, bikes burn no gasoline and can travel up to 900 miles on the same amount of energy spent on a gallon of gas. Given the high cost of gas, Washington may continue to see more people switching from cars to bicycles. With Smart Bike in the picture, the city will have to find a way to adapt to the increased number of bikes on the streets.